Good morning Year 6, I hope you're all okay. Welcome to the third and final video this week for our writing sessions. Today and tomorrow our intention is that you will do your independent write and you are going to be writing a diary entry about Charlie's final moments before he is sentenced to execution. So Charlie's going to be writing this diary from his viewpoints. We're going to be using I and my. He's going to be writing it into his diary as one final entry, all about the final thoughts and feelings he is having the night before and the morning of his execution. Okay, so yesterday you completed a plan with all the different features of a diary entry, so you're going to need that plan in front of you today, so please make sure that you are referring to that because that's got lots of key vocabulary on there to help you. On the PowerPoint I've also put some reminders as well. It says reread the chapter on that first slide. Remind yourself about how Charlie must be feeling. Today you'll write your diary entry about the moment Charlie is sentenced to his death, and as we reach the end of that diary entry, Charlie will have been executed, so it will that was where the diary entry will end. Okay, there'll be no more entries. So it says, remember to include the following features. So look at your key vocabulary on that plan. Make sure you're using the sentence types from the SPAG lesson this week. So I will be expecting to see in your work this week 2 A sentences, 3 ED sentences and DD sentences. Chronological order, an informal chatter style, which we've already spoken about because it's personal, it's a diary entry. Expounded noun phrases if they are applicable, so you can get a bit more detail in. Prepositional phrases, so on top of, underneath, at the side of. First person pronouns as well. Now please bear in mind, don't rush this. This should take you 2 days. This is not going to take you one lesson. So even if you only manage 2 quality paragraphs today, that is more than enough. And I'm going to do a bit of modelling with you now. So on my board, I've got the learning objective, so I can write my own diary entry from the viewpoint of Charlie. I've made up a date because I'm following the structure of a diary entry, so I've just put Tuesday 9th February 1917, as long as it's within that period, and I've put Dear Diary. Now, I've also put on here, and this would be a good idea for you guys at home, a little success criteria down the side of my page, because I always say to my children, make sure you are ticking off those bits that you've included as you go. It's no good getting to the end of your paragraph and then realising, oh, I've not included pronouns, I've not included chronological order, because then you've wasted a whole paragraph. So sentence by sentence, go back to that success criteria, tick it off. Have I included pronouns? If I have, I can start to think about another feature to include, okay? So that bit is really important for the quality of your writing. I've made a little note here about the structure of the diary entry. So the things that you might want to talk about in each paragraph, but ultimately you might come up with your own ideas, and that's not a problem either. So I've thought about for my diary entry, I'm going to do in paragraph 1, the night before. So this is going to be one big entry, and I'm going to talk about in paragraph 1 how Charlie's feeling the night before the execution. So the execution is looming over him, he's in bed for the final time, on his own. What is going through his head at that point? So I'm going to speak about that. That's going to be my focus. Second paragraph, I'm going to speak about the morning he wakes up, ready for the execution. Might be talking about his final meal, final conversations that he has with comrades, and how awkward that might be, knowing that some of those are going to be the ones pulling the trigger on him. Paragraph 3, I might talk about the moment he's called to his death, so how he's feeling as he walks out to that battlefield. Now I know some of you at home will be thinking, well, he's not going to be writing a diary entry as he's on his way to be sentenced to death. No, he won't, but for the purpose of this activity, we're going to imagine that he is. And then final thoughts for paragraph 4, okay? So, I've started off with Dear Diary, and I'm now going to start with the night before. So I'm going to look down my list, and I'm going to think, right, how could I open this diary entry? And I think I'm going to start off with the one thing that I haven't actually put on there on the success criteria, which is my 3 ED sentence, because I found that quite easy, so I'm going to ease myself in, okay? And I'm going to put, and actually, if I'm going to be really clever, I'm going to refer back to my notes from the previous sessions. I'm going to start with this sentence here, because I'm going to apply this to my writing today. So, frightened, terrified, exhausted. I'm going to use that little snippet there. So, frightened, beautiful handwriting, terrified. Oh, I was going to put Anne there, but I've remembered it's not an and in the example. Frightened, terrified, exhausted. Comma comes afterwards. I remembered that from Spag lesson. It was my final night before my execution. Now this is not perfect, and I'm going to stop in a second. I've already made a mistake there, so I'm going to get my ruler. I've put exhaustion. So I'm going to cross that out. I meant execution. And I'm going to put an exclamation mark there. So, going back to my success criteria,